Perhaps the biggest story on night one was the announcement that the WWE has purchased AAA. Jim, you've been around the business a long time. You've seen lots of promotions being sold, famously, of course. Bill Watts' territory sold to the Crockett's, and then later the Crockett's sold to Turner. And well, years before that, I guess the Georgia territory sold to Vince. And then, of course, we know maybe most famously, ECW and WCW became part of the WWE opportunity. What do you make of this new foray into Mexico? WWE acquiring AAA.
A little bit of a head scratcher. I'm not sure what the value is, uh, how much you can monetize that investment. But I'm fully supportive of it, no doubt about that. But I believe I believe it's the right move. It's going to be interesting to see how it grows and all that good stuff. So hey, let's just let it grow and see how it evolves. Evolution's a big thing, and how the plans are for it to grow and to matriculate is going to be something that we'll all be able to share in the growth if that's the case. So it's going to be fun to see. It's going to be fun to see. It's an interesting venture. It's an interesting venture to say the least.
Conan has actually talked about this on his podcast, and he's laying out that he has no problem working with Jeremy Borash. As I understand it, Borash has a great relationship with Dorian, the former owner of AAA, and I believe Dorian's going to stay on. So I think Borash is maybe about as good of a liaison as you could have. I know you've spent a lot of time with, well, most everybody in the wrestling business, but I don't think you spent a lot of time with Jeremy Borash through the years, right? Just the timelines wouldn't line up more often than not, right?
Yeah, kind of. I'm a fan of Jeremy Borash. He's a smart guy. Uh, does a good job of building a. He's a good brand builder, and he's done a good job of building that relationship between pro wrestling and whatever he's working on. So good for him. Good for AAA, and I'm just anxious to see how it grows. What is the growth pattern going to be? And but I'm all for it. I'm all for growth, and it's just going to be it's going to be good for everybody involved. I think. So we'll see as time goes on.
There's no doubt it's going to be interesting to see what happens with AAA. Conan would even say that, quote, our problem in AAA isn't our talent and it isn't our booking. It's that we didn't have any money. So, for example, they said in the WWE, if you put all of our TVs together for 1 year, it's not as much as they spend on one TV in the United States. Our show will look a lot better and we're going to be able to work with their talent, just not NXT talent. And now with money, you'll see what we can do. And he would also say the reason the company was sold is not because we were going out of business. The reason they sold the company is because Dorian Roldan put his ego to the side and he understood that we could never grow if we didn't have help and capital. And now we have it. But business is not bad. The last 2 years, all of our TVs have been 85% to full. Our business isn't bad. So this is interesting to me to think about what this means. And I find it fascinating that they've announced this show that's going to happen in Los Angeles just before Money in the Bank. It's going to be AAA and WWE as a joint venture in Los Angeles. But that same week, I think, is the week that AEW will be doing Dynamite from Arena Mexico, which I'm proud to say is completely sold out, Jim. First of all, have you ever heard of a major wrestling promotion here in the United States doing their weekly television show from Arena Mexico? I think this is a first. That's kind of exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think it speaks to the growth, and it's smart marketing. It's creating an awareness. There you see that's a good visual right there. The graphic is there's some studs in that picture. Uh, Kenny Omega is special. Will Ospreay is special. the luchador component is special. So it's cool stuff. I'm excited about the potential growth, and there's a lot of talent in that graphic right there. So I'm anxious to see how it matriculates. And so Hank Stram used to say, matriculates on down the field. I'm anxious to see how that continues to grow. Growth is something you can't you can't not plan for growth. Growth is imperative, and you just got to have it. You got to have growth, and I'm excited to see where it goes. You know, it may be past my time. I don't know, but the thing about it is, I'm very happy to see where all takes us.
Let's talk a little bit about one of the controversies coming out of WrestleMania. It was the fact that Kevin Owens found himself unable to compete. Our thoughts and prayers are with Kevin, as we know he's got a major surgery ahead of him, and who knows how long he'll be out. So we do want to keep that at the forefront of our mind. But with him off the card, that meant Randy Orton was looking for an opponent. So they positioned that segment on the show, Jim, like an open challenge for Randy Orton. And I speculated, hey, Sami Zayn would make sense here. I think a lot of fans were hoping they might see the return of Rusev. But what we got was Joe Hendry, who's the TNA World Champion. And after a couple of RKOs, he's going to take the pinfall. And it happened 25 years to the day after Triple H beat the ECW World Champion, Taz, on SmackDown. Both of those happened on April 20th, which I thought was an interesting little footnote. But what do you think of TNA having their champion lose an open challenge at WrestleMania in the middle of the card? It was to Randy Orton, but there's some old school folks who say that's never happened before for a reason. It shouldn't have happened. What say you?
Nonplussed, nonplussed. To be honest with you, it I don't know if it needed to happen, but you know, Joe Henry is a top hand in my view, and so, but it's just funny how Joe's got a unique following, and I'm a big fan of his work, his in-ring work and his work as a human being, classy guy, and so it's good for him. It's good for him. They're building the brand, you know, and Joe Henry's a part of that brand building. So all good in my view.
Yeah, I think I agree. You know, it's all about marketing at this point. You're trying to get that guy established. You're trying to get that brand established. It did get a big reaction, and these days, I do think, you know, the North Star has changed a little bit. You're trying to court attention at all costs. You're trying to land these television rights fees. You're trying to, you know, gain influence and traction on social media. Once you've sold all the tickets, at that point, it's really about just trying to create as much buzz as you can
Right.
on social media, right, Jim?
Yeah, pretty much. I think that's it. Create awareness, positive awareness is the key term I think there. So yeah, Joe Henry's a talent. He's a talented kid, and he's paid his dues over the time. So I'm anxious to see where his timeline how it progresses. So and time will tell. He all of a sudden Joe Henry could get over and be a top star. I think he has the ability to do that. So, but like I said, time will tell. It's always the same way in wrestling. The guys that you don't know will get over, do get over at times, and I think that's kind of how I see that whole scenario playing out. Is, you know, Joe Henry's a star. He's going to be a big star as the time goes on, and I think that's the key thing. Is that let's see how he progresses. Let's don't count our chickens before they hatch. Let's see how this thing all evolves. And I think that's a key thing right there. Is that Joe Henry's a star, and he's going to do well. And so let's just let it play out and see how it goes.